Okay, good morning, everyone. We are on Mem Testament Aleph. Hahuma chata dishtakach b'tzimfoina rabba dekavda. There was a needle that was found in the liver, in the big blood vessel in the liver. Huna mar debei derav idi tarif. So Huna, Mar, the son of Rav Idi, said that it was a treifa. Why was it a treifa? Because he assumed that it must have gone through the esophagus in order to get to the great blood vessel of the liver, and therefore it must have made a puncture in the digestive tract. He was machshir, because he said that it probably didn't go through the digestive tract, rather it must have entered through the trachea. And as we said yesterday, if it goes through the trachea, it's not going to puncture anything along the way. It's only if it goes through the esophagus. They asked Ravina, Amar lahu, Shakilu glima ditrofai. Take away the clothing of the one who said that it was treifa, because he caused a loss to the owner, because the animal had to be thrown out. It was thrown to the dogs. And Lamaisa, he should not have said that it was treifa, and really it's kosher, because again, if we find a needle in the liver, we assume that it went through the trachea, not through the esophagus. Ahi kishaita dishtakach b'mar. There was a date pit that was found in the gallbladder. Amar Ravashi ki avinan bei Rav Kahana Amar. When I was by Rav Kahana, he said, Havadai tzimfona nakad va'asai. So again, we'll see that there's two ways it could have gotten into the gallbladder. It could have either gone through the esophagus, which would be a problem, or it could have gone through the trachea, and it wouldn't be a problem. So he says it definitely went through the trachea, and therefore it's not a problem. It's not going to puncture it, because again, it entered through the trachea, went through the liver, to the gallbladder. It couldn't have been through the esophagus, because if it went through the esophagus, the only way into the liver is to have punctured itself through the digestive tract, and the pit of a date is not sharp enough to be able to cut its way through the digestive tract, and therefore the only way that it could have ended up in that spot was through the trachea, which is okay. Afagav delo kanafka. And even though now in Matthias it can't get out because it's not sharp enough to get in, how did it get in without, if it can't get out, how did it get in without being able to, again, cut its way through? Mirbahu deravile. It shook. It was shaken down as the animal moved, and every little movement made it go down a little bit further, and it ended up in the liver, but it went through the trachea, and therefore it's not going to be an issue. V'hani mili didikla. This is specifically by a dekel, by the pit of a date, which is not so strong and not so sharp, and therefore we assume that it went through the trachea and it didn't cut its way through. After going through the esophagus, it didn't cut its way through, and therefore the animal is not a treifa. But in the case of the pit of an olive, which is very sharp, so then we have to be choshesh that it pierced its way through the digestive tract into the gallbladder, and we have to consider the animal to be a treifa. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says that we've been calling a lung the entire time a reya. Lama nikra shma reya. Why is a lung called a reya? Shemi'ira eseinayim, because it brightens the eyes. Very interesting. If you eat the lung, it's good for your eyes. Ibayalahu la'achila al yidei samanin. It might be bad for other things, but it's good for your eyes. So he says, is it good for you from eating it plain, or if you mix it with medicinal herbs? Tashma d'amar Rav Huna bar Yehuda, avaza bezuza vireya dida ba'arba. He says, when a goose costs 1 zuz, then the lung is worth 4 zuzim. That sounds a little bit weird. I understand. If you tell me that if you eat a plain lung, it's going to be good, and it's good for you, so then why would you pay 4 zuz for a goose that is only worth 1 zuz? I understand. Says the Gemara, Linkot bezuza v'leichol. Why would you pay 4 zuz for a 1 zuz goose? Rather what? Must be you should pay 1 zuz for a 1 zuz goose. So why are you paying 4 zuz? It sounds like you're paying 4 zuz for the lung of a goose that cost 1 zuz for the goose. So the Gemara, why would you ever pay 4? Why would you pay 4 zuz for the lung of something that you could buy the entire animal for 1 zuz? Says the Gemara, it must be that you can't just buy the animal and take out the lung. The reason that the lung costs 4 zuz is because not only do they use the lung, they take the lung, they mix it with all the medicinal herbs, and then you're buying it for 4 zuz, you're making it prepared. It's like buying a raw chicken versus a prepared chicken. The raw chicken is going to be cheaper than the prepared chicken.
It's because of the labor cost.
Yeah, again, it could be because of that also. Says in Gemara. No, but that's what it's saying, the medicinal herbs and the labor, everything together. Inak v'reya hecha demishamshima demimashmisha yade de tabacha. What is the law if the lung is punctured at the point where the butcher pokes? So it sounds like the butcher will poke at the lung after the shechita. Now this is not similar to our This is not similar to our checking, where we go ahead and we check for sirchas. It's not what he's talking about. It sounds like the butcher is like pushing his hands into very narrow parts of the lung, and his nails might cause a puncture. It sounds like he's actually checking the lung. But let's say you find a puncture in a point where the butcher actually put his hand after the animal was shechted. So do you assume that it came from the butcher, or do you assume that it was already there from the time that the animal was there? If it came from the butcher, then it's fine. If it came from before the animal was shechted, it's going to be a problem. Talinan or lo talinan? Can we be tolet on the butcher? Ravada bar Nasan amar talinan, Marzuch Rabrei de Rav Mari amar lo talinan. V'hilchasa talinan. We can attribute it to the butcher's hands, and we can attribute it to the butcher's puncture, and therefore lamaisa, you don't have to say that it's a treifa. Amar Shmuel Brei de Rabbi Avo. Abba Meireshe Kale Dera from Hava. My father was one of the heads of the Kala, the Yarche Kala. Sounds like they had these Yarche Kalas where they would learn either before Yantiv or just Stam, and then there were these heads who would go ahead and they would stand up and they would be the ones to translate or to say over loud the words of the rabbi who was speaking. So he says, my father was this person, V'amar Talid, and he said we're allowed to attribute the puncture to the butcher. He didn't accept this. He said, we do not attribute it. My grandfather's view that we attribute it is more reasonable. And he says, it makes more sense to say that we can be told on the butcher, because at the end of the day, we know we had the case all the way on Tesam at Aleph, where you had an intestine that a wolf ran off with, and then when he returned it, it had all these piercings in it. It had all these punctures, and we said that we're going to be told that the punctures were not there at the time of the shechita, that they were brought by the zev, by the wolf, and therefore the animal will be kosher. So too over here, you have the same thing where you can be told on the butcher, and you can assume that the animal was actually kosher. Morna, if you have this worm, a parasite worm, that what? And you don't know whether the worm punctured the lung before or after the shechita. So you have these parasites that live in the lung, and now there's a hole in the lung, and we're not sure if the parasite worm came out during or after the shechita. If it came out before the shechita, then it's a problem. If it came out after the shechita, then it's not a problem. The fact that it was in the lung at the time of the shechita is not an issue. Pligi bar Rav Yosef bar Dusai v'Rabbanan Chanamar kodem shechita parsh Chanamar la'achar shechita parsh v'hilchas la'achar shechita parsh. Halacha is that we assume that it came out afterwards, because where else would a parasite worm want to live than in a lung? It's the most cozy place for a parasite worm. Therefore, we assume that it stayed in there while the animal was alive, and only after the animal died do we assume that the parasite worm came out. Rabbi Shimon Omer Acha Tina Cave. We said that an animal with a punctured lung is a treifa, and Rabbi Shimon says it's not a treifa unless it's punctured not only on the lung but all the way down to the bronchi. Rabbi Tachlifa adds that not only does Rabbi Shimon mean that it has to be punctured to the bronchi, but it has to be punctured all the way to the primary bronchi. So again, according to Tanakama, if there's a puncture in the lung, it's a problem. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's not a problem till it's punctured in the bronchi, which, explaining, again, his opinion being explained, means that there's a puncture in the primary bronchi. So he's more makil. Says the Gemara. Yosef Racha Barava Kamei Rav Huna v'Yosef Kamar Amar Rabbi Maloch Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi Lach Rabbi Shimon Amar Le Maloch Arva Kamar. So he says, Rabbi Maloch says, they quote Rabbi Maloch as saying that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, that we're going to be more mekel. So they said to him, to Rav Acha bar Abba, Amar Le Maloch Erba Ka'amart, are you referring to Maloch from Arba? In halacha Rabbi Shimon Kamar. He said that we don't follow Rabbi Shimon. You're misquoting him, and really the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon. So like Rabbi Zeir Ashkel Rav Bibi, the Yosef Kamar Amar Rabbi Maloch Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi Lach Rabbi Shimon. Again, we had Rabbi Maloch being quoted as saying that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, that we're going to be mekel. Amar Le Chayi Demar. So he said to Rabbi Bibi, I swear to honor Rabbi Chia, bar Abba Rabbi Yossi Ikla Asrei de Rabbi Mach. We went to Ramal Amri Lai Iyamar Mar Halachik Rabbi Shimon, V'Amar Lan Ein Halachik Rabbi Shimon Amri. You're quoting Rabbi Malach says Allah is like Rabbi Shimon, and I know that Allah is not like Rabbi Shimon. He told us. V'Yad Ma Biyadach. What tradition do you have in mind? So now he says we're having machlokas about what Rabbi Malach says, but now he says to Rabbi Zera, and what do you hold? Amar Lai Hachi Amar Yitzah Baravi. Ami Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, halach Rabbi Shimon, ve'ein halach Rabbi Shimon. So halach is not like Rabbi Shimon, says the Gemara, and therefore even a puncture in the lung without going all the way to the bronchi / the primary bronchi is going to be a problem. Nikva akeva, if the fourth stomach is punctured, that's the stomach. So what exactly is going on here? Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Yoshia, chelev shal gabi keva, kohanim nagu b'hetek Rabbi Shmuel shamar mishum avosav, Yishmael was a Kohen, and he always helps Kohanim. What does this mean? So the Kohanim, anytime there's a regular korban, the Kohanim would get the keba, the fourth stomach. And the question was, we know that when there's fat, there's two types of fat. There's the chaylev, which is the aser fat, and there's a shuman, which is the mutter fat. So they wanted to know, yes, the fourth stomach we could eat. Can we eat the fat of the fourth stomach? So Rabbi Yishmael, who himself was a Kohen, was matir to other Kohanim and said that the fat that's on the fourth stomach is not chaylev fat, it's shuman fat, and it's going to be mutter for you to eat. Maihi. So the Gemara says that Yishmael kana b'tzayeh kana. Yishmael is always helping Kohanim. Well, if he's helping Kohanim here, what do you mean he's always helping Kohanim? Then it means that there are other cases, seemingly, where you're going to say that Yishmael helped Kohanim. So in this case, he helped Kohanim because he said that they could eat the entire fourth stomach. They could eat even the fat, which he's considered to be shuman. But why is it that, again, where else does he say that it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial to Kohanim? Mahi, where do we see this? Tanya, Kot of Archoes B'nai Yisrael. The Torah tells the Kohanim to bless the Jewish people. Rabbi Yishmael Amer Lamanu Bracha Yisrael Mipi Kohanim. We see from this pasuk Kot of Archoes B'nai Yisrael that B'nai Yisrael gets a bracha from the Kohanim. The Kohanim Atzman Lo Lamanu, but we haven't learned anything about the Kohanim getting a bracha. Kishu Omer Vani Avarchem. When the Torah says, I will bless them. Have Omer Kohanim Mevarchim Yisrael V'Kadosh Baruch Hu Mevarach LeKohanim. So that's where you see that Rabbi Yishmael is giving a bracha to the Kohanim. He's being beneficial to the Kohanim because he's interpreting the pasuk. In his way of interpreting the pasuk, he's saying that the pasuk is telling us that the Kohanim bless the Jewish people, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ani Avarchem bless the Kohanim as well. Rabbi Akiva Omer, no, not so simple. He's not as limud chus for the Kohanim. He says Lamadnu bracha Yisrael Mipi Kohanim. We learn a bracha for the Yisrael from the Kohanim. Mipi Agvura Lo Lamanu. Ksheomer Vani Avarchem Ave Omer Kohanim Mevarchim Yisrael VaKadosh Baruch Hu Maskim Al Yadam. So that's why Rabbi Yishmael is treating the Kohanim better, because again, what's he saying? He's saying that Lamaisa, the Kohanim are getting a bracha from Hashem. According to what Rabbi Akiva explains it, the Kohanim are not getting a bracha from Hashem. So you see that Yishmael is taking care of his brothers, the Kohanim. El Rabbi Akiva bracha LaKohanim Ilalei. The Gemara still assumes that Rabbi Akiva would agree that the Kohanim are going to get a bracha. So if it's not in this pasuk, where do you see that the Kohanim are getting a bracha from Hashem? Amar of Nachum Bar Yitzchak me'avarcha mevarecheka. It says by Avram Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will bless those who bless you. So to over here, if the Kohanim are blessing the Jewish people, then by definition, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bless those who bless the Jewish people, i.e. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bless the Kohanim. Says the Gemara, my Messiah Kohanei. But understand, if you're telling me that both Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael agree that the Kohanim at the end of the day get a bracha from Hashem, so what do you mean that Rabbi Yishmael is the one who helps Kohanim? Everybody helps Kohanim. Even Rabbi Akiva helps Kohanim here. Even he agrees that the Kohanim get a bracha. It says no. No, it's more of a zechus for the Kohanim to get their bracha at the same time that they're blessing the Bnei Yisrael. That means according to Rabbi Yishmael, at the time that they say Baruch Hashem Yishmerecha, Vani Avarchem HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses them at the same time. According to V'avarcha mevarachaka, they don't get the bracha at the time that they bless the Jewish people. It's that at some point HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make up and will give them a bracha as well. But getting the bracha at the exact time that they bless the Jewish people, which is what Rabbi Yishmael says, that's more of a tzchus to the Kohanim, and that's what we mean when we say that he's always looking after his brothers, the Kohanim. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yishmael sha'amar mishum avos amai. So where do you see, again, it was quoted just now, it was quoted by Rabbi Zera. It was quoted by Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Oshia that the Kohanim were nagu b'heter to eat the fat of the fourth stomach. Ki Rabbi Yishmael sha'amar mishum avosav, like Rabbi Yishmael who said in the name of his fathers. Where did Rabbi Yishmael say in the name of his fathers that the Kohanim can eat the fat of the fourth stomach? Titania ve'eskol achelav asher ala kerev, all of the fat that is on the innards. And the Gemara there says that what the pasuk there is telling us with which fats get burnt on the mizbeach. So the general klal is that whatever fats are burned on the mizbeach are chaylev. Whatever fats are not burned on the mizbeach are shuman and can be eaten. So what is that pasuk which is talking about fats burned on the mizbeach, which would be usher to eat? What does that include? Lahavi chaylev shal gabe adakin. That includes the fat on the intestines. Divrei Rabbi Yishmael. But Rabbi Yishmael seems to say only the fat on the intestines is going to be chaylev. The fat that's on the fourth stomach will not be chaylev. So you clearly see that Rabbi Yishmael holds that the fat on the stomach is not chaylev, and that's what we mean when we say that Rabbi Yishmael was what? Sha'amar mishum avosav, he allowed the Kohanim to eat the fat that was on the fourth stomach. You see it clearly from here. Rabbi Akiva Omer, no, lahavi chaylev shal gabe akeva. No, the vav, again, because it says ve'es kol ha'chaylev, so the vav or the ve'es includes not only the fat, again, not only the regular fat of the innards, that's going to be chaylev, even the fat of the intestines. And Rabbi Akiva will say not only the fat of the intestines, the fat on the fourth stomach as well. So again, it comes out, according to Rabbi Akiva, the fat on the stomach, on the fourth stomach is chaylev, therefore the kohanim can eat it. According to Rabbi Yishmael, the fat on the stomach, on the fourth stomach, is not chaylev, it's shuman, therefore the kohanim can eat it, and that's where we see that Rabbi Yishmael holds that the kohanim can eat the fat of the fourth stomach. Says the Gemara, or mini, we have a problem, because we have a brisa that says the exact opposite. V'yes kol ha'chaylev asher al ha'kerev, Rabbi Yishmael omer, ma chaylev ha'machas ha'kerev krum v'niklaf, av kol krum v'niklaf. Rabbi Yishmael says, what's chaylev, what's usher to eat? Just like the chaylev of the innards, which everybody agrees is usher to eat. Why? What's the character trait of the chaylev of the innards? It's when there's a membrane that's around the fat. There's a membrane around the fat, and the membrane can be peeled away. That's going to be fat that you can't eat. That's going to be fat that's chaylev. It happens to be that what? That the fat that's around the fourth stomach is also surrounded by a membrane that can be peeled away. So it comes out according to this brisa. Rabbi Shmuel holds that what? That the fat of the fourth stomach is actually chaylev, because it fits this category of having a membrane surrounding it that can be peeled away. Rabbi Akiva Omer, no, the fat of the stomach, of the fourth stomach, is not chaylev. Again, the opinions are switched. Why? Ma chaylev, because not only does it have to be something that's surrounded by a membrane that can be peeled away, there's another character trait that it's needed to be chaylev, and the fat of the fourth stomach does not have that character trait. What's that? Ma chaylev amechas as a karev, totav krum v'niklaf, av kol totav krum v'niklaf. Not only does it have to be surrounded by a membrane that can be easily peeled away, it needs to be something that's a drape, that it's like a sheet or a garment over the thing that it's basically coming on top of. And the fat of the fourth stomach, again, without understanding the exact Metzias, is not like that. Therefore, in Metzias, it comes out that according to Rabbi Akiva here, the fat of the stomach would be okay. And according to Rabbi Yishmael, the fat of the fourth stomach will not be okay. But you just finished telling me in another brisa that Rabbi Yishmael is the one who holds that the fat of the stomach is okay, and Rabbi Akiva is the one who holds it's not okay. So which one is it? Says the Gemara, Shalach Rabbi Mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan, Kach ha'tzah shel ha'mishnah, ve'epoch kamaisa. No, the second one is right, and not the first one. My chaz is the afchit kamaisa, epoch basraisa. Shaniacha kevin diktani madafka. Since the second one gives the explanation, the first one just says Rabbi Shmuel says the fat of the fourth stomach is not chaylev, and Rabbi Akiva says the fat of the fourth stomach is chaylev. But then we have another brisa that says the exact opposite. But in the second brisa, it explains the reason. It says that Rabbi Shmuel holds that the fat of the fourth stomach is chaylev, because, again, it's surrounded by a membrane that peels away. Rabbi Akiva says it's not chaylev, because even though it's surrounded by a membrane that peels away, it doesn't drape, it doesn't a garment. But which one are you going to take as being the authoritative one if they contradict each other? Says the Gemara, the one that explains itself, which is the second one. So now we're glot, but not really glot. Why? Because now we've come out that Rabbi Yishmael is the one who holds that the fat of the fourth stomach is treif. Well, you just finished telling me, man, that over here, what did you finish telling me? You just finished telling me that Rabbi Yitzchak bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Oshia says what? That the Kohanim would eat the fat of the fourth stomach. Why? Ki Rabbi Yishmael she'amar mishum avosav. But you just finished telling me now that this brisa clearly shows us the one that we're passing like is Rabbi Yishmael is the one who says that you can't eat the fat of the fourth stomach. So how can they eat it based on Rabbi Shmuel when Rabbi Shmuel doesn't say it himself? Says Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, no. Iachi Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Akiva he. What do you mean that they would eat it like Rabbi Shmuel? If anything, you should say that they would eat it because Rabbi Akiva says it's okay. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, no. She'amar mishum avasav iles lo sfir olei. A good boy. He says what his parents said, but he doesn't hold like his parents. So when it says that they would eat it like Yishmael she'amar mishum avasav, yeah, they would eat it like the avosav of Rabbi Yishmael, who held like Rabbi Akiva that the fat of the fourth stomach is not chaylev, it's shuman. But Rabbi Yishmael himself holds that the fat of the fourth stomach is actually chaylev, and therefore he holds that you cannot go ahead and you cannot eat it. But the Kohanim held like Rabbi Akiva, held like the avosav of Rabbi Yishmael, and therefore when they got the fourth stomach, they would actually eat its fat, and they would consider it to be shuman and not chaylev. Good? Another interesting conversation now. So now we've said that chaylev goes on the mizbeach. Whatever goes on the mizbeach is chaylev. Whatever doesn't go on the mizbeach seemingly is shuman. Now the mitzias, the Gemara is going to tell us, is the mitzias is, for whatever reason, Kadosh Baruch Hu made it like this. The mitzias is that shuman, kosher fat, also seals up punctures. And chaylev, the texture of chaylev, non-kosher fat, is not as fatty as shuman, and therefore it won't fill up puncture. So again, if you have a puncture, for instance, and now it's laying on chaylev or shuman, so the Gemara is going to say that if it's laying on chaylev, then the chaylev will not puncture, will not go ahead and close up the hole. it won't close up the hole. But if it's laying on shuman, then the shuman will close up the hole. Amarav chaylev tar so same. That's what it means. Chaylev tar, which is shuman, is so same. Tamei eino so same. But if it's chaylev tamei, it's not going to be so same. Rav Sheshes omer echad zeh v'echad zeh so same. Rav Sheshes argues and says no, even chaylev tamei, which is what we call chaylev, can be so same. BAYT Rabbi Zev chaylev chayamai. So very interesting question. We know that chaylev of a chay is actually mutter. When we talk about chaylev being usher, it's only a domesticated animal. A sheep, a cow. Chaylev of a chaya, of an undomesticated kosher animal, is actually mutter. So now we have a question. Well, is it based on the fact that something's mutter to eat, or is it based on the metzias? If it's based on the fact that something's mutter to eat, then what? If it's mutter to eat, so then this chaylev seemingly should also be set to puncture up holes. But if it's based on just the metzias of chaylev, that chaylev, its texture does not puncture up holes, and it doesn't matter that you can eat it, l'maisa chaylev does not puncture up holes. Which one does it sound like? If I had to take a guess, I would say that the texture is the texture. Who cares that you can eat it or not? That's a separate din. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Says the Gemara, "Daf gamar chaylev tar sosem v'hai nami tarhu," and therefore it could be sosem. Or dilma mishum demahadek. No, it's a din in the mitzios that its permissible fat adheres more tightly because of the way that it's made. V'hai lo mahadek. But chaylev in general, even though this chaylev is able to be eaten, doesn't adhere. Says the Gemara, Rabbi, mighty barle. What kind of question is it? Silly question. The texture is the texture. The texture of shuman closes up holes. The texture of chaylev does not close up holes. Therefore, if you have a hole and there's chaylev on it, we consider it to be open. If there's a hole with shuman on it, we consider it to be closed. It happens to be that a chaya, you're allowed to eat the chaylev, shkoyach, so eat it. But it's not going to be a kula to be able to say that the hole is closed up. Says the Gemara, "Hunekev desad machaylev tamei de'asel lakami derava." There was a puncture that was sealed by chaylev tamei that came before Rav. Obviously, according to what? According to Rav, that's not going to be a good cover-up. It's not going to be able to fix it. According to Rav Sheshes, it will. He says it's good. Why? First of all, First of all, we have an opinion of Rav Sheshes who says that chaylev tamei can also close up holes. And even though in general we paskin, it's very nice, the problem is we paskin like Rav versus Rav Sheshes. So very nice, Rav Sheshes holds that chaylev tamei closes up holes, but we paskin like Rav, and Rav says that chaylev tamei doesn't close up holes. But he says, and this is very fascinating, ha-Torah chasam amamonim shel Yisrael. It's fascinating. First of all, there's an opinion that says that chaylev that's tamei does close up holes. Shkoyach, very nice, but there's an opinion that we usually paskin like Rav that says that chaylev that's tamei, regular chaylev, does not close up holes. But the Torah was chasa amamonam shel Yisrael. You're right, in general we paskin like Rav, and really chaylev shouldn't be able to puncture up holes, but since we're careful about the Jewish people's money, we're going to paskin like Rav Sheshes here, and we're going to say that it does close up holes. Says Gemara, Amar le Rav Papa, le Rava, are you serious? Rav Yisura deoraisa, v'ad Amar Torah chasa amamonim shel Yisrael. We always paskin like Rav over Rav Sheshes. We're not dealing with like some minhag over here, where you want to be makel and say, well, Torah was chasa amamonim shel Yisrael. We're dealing with an isur deoraisa of eating treifa, and you're going to just throw around and say, well, you know, the Torah is chasam, it cares about the Jewish people money, so even though we always paskin like Rav, and even though this is an Issa D'Oraisa, we're going to paskin like Rav Sheshes. Sounds crazy. Says the Gemara, I have a similar case. Man yumin, banduka, kanduka, iglile, bastika, deduvsha. Man yumin, the pottery dealer, had a honey pot, and he left it overnight, and there was honey in the pot. Well, we know that there are certain liquids that we're afraid a snake drank from. Also, lakame de Rava, they came before Rava again. They want to know, do we have to be choshesh that the snake drank from it and therefore we can't drink it? Amarava lemay nechosha, we're not going to be worried. First of all, chada dinan shlosha mashkim asurim mishum giloy hayayin v'amayim v'hachalav. There's only 3 liquids that are going to be forbidden: wine, water, and milk. Ushar kol mashkim mutarim. Honey is not on that list, and therefore we're not afraid that a snake likes it and drank from it. Va'od, and even if you paskin like what? Even if you paskin like the man who says no, it sounds like it's like a machlokes metzias. Even if you're paskin like the Madamar who says that no, honey is on the list, because snakes do drink out of honey, and therefore you have to be worried. No, haTorah is chasa amamonim shel Yisrael. That's even crazier. So now you tell me, well, really we should paskin that, what? Really we should paskin that you can't have honey because we're afraid that snakes went in. But you know what? The Torah cares about the money of the Jewish people, so we're going to let you eat the honey. Well, the Torah doesn't care about the Jewish people themselves. You're going to go ahead and eat the honey. Yeah, very nice. You're going to save your money, but you're going to be dead. Says the Gemara, Amalei Rav Nachman Yitzchak l'Rav Rabbi Shimon v'sakanas nefashos v'ad amar haTorah chasam amamonim shel Yisrael. First of all, you're paskening not like what? You're paskening like not like Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon holds that it's forbidden. So you're paskening like the other opinion who says it's permitted, and Sakanas Devashot is even worse than a Daraisa, quote unquote. And yet you're telling us what? No, eat the honey, don't worry, because the Torah was Chas Amamonim Sheisrael. Something doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Says Gemara, Rabbi Shimon Mahi. Well, first of all, what's this Rabbi Shimon who says that you can't eat honey? The Tanya, Chamisha, in Behem Mishum Giloy, there's 5 liquids, not 3. That what? Oh, there's 5 that are not susceptible to Giloy. That means that there are 3, and then there's 5 that are not susceptible. Tzir, Chomet, Shem, and Devash Moris. We assume that snakes do not eat fish, brine, vinegar, oil, honey, and the innards of a fish. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Afein Yesh Mishum Giloy. No. Again, it sounds like a Metzias Machlokes. He holds at Inachanami. We have to be concerned that a snake is a desperate snake, and he'll eat those things. From Rabbi Shimon, and I myself saw it with my own eyes. You're claiming that snakes don't eat fish brine. But I myself saw that a snake ate fish brine, and therefore what? You have to agree with me that all of these things are going to be aser. Amr lo, they said to me, can't bring any proof. Shat Yahaya, that was a deranged snake. There was something wrong with it. Ve'en mevi and raya min hashotim. Not only are there shotim people, there are shotim snakes as well. Can't bring rayas from shotim snakes. But what do you see? You clearly hold that Rabbi Shimon. You clearly see that Rabbi Shimon holds that a snake you have to be worried even by honey. So now you have Rabbi Shimon who holds you have to be worried by honey. Even if other people disagree with him, you're dealing with a case of sakanas nefashos, and you, Rav, are going to paskin, ignore Rabbi Shimon. Again, if nobody held that it was aser, then you would say, of course you could drink it, because nobody holds that it's dangerous. But if Rabbi Shimon is coming, and even if one person is coming, and especially if it's Rabbi Shimon and coming and saying it's aser to drink or to use honey that was left overnight because of the fact that we're afraid that a snake came into it, you're going to say Torah was chas amamon Yisrael, and we're going to say, no, eat it, it's okay, we don't want you to lose your money. Really? But losing your life, that's okay? Says Gemara, Amar Lei, so Rava answered, O dilei mias betzir. You tell us that we have to follow Rabbi Shimon, and it has to be aser, but at least agree to me that by brine, we're not going to follow Rabbi Shimon, and that if you leave brine overnight, you're allowed to eat it. Why? Because we have proof that Rav Papa, Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, and other Rabbanan, when there was an exposed liquid that was left overnight, so they couldn't drink it, but when they wanted to drink it, what would they do? They would pour it into brine, and when they poured it into brine, the brine would get rid of any effects. Had it been that a snake went in there, it would get rid of the effects of the venom. So if brine can get rid of the effects of venom, obviously brine itself, we don't have to be worried about that a snake went in there, because even if a snake went in there, then l'maisa it's not going to harm you. So you have to admit that we don't follow Rabbi Shimon's stringency even by brine, and maybe I'll admit that we do follow Rabbi Shimon's stringency by honey, and that honey you shouldn't drink. Says Gemara, Amar Lei, so they said to him, Odi li mia bedavash, or at least you should agree to me by honey, to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar kai kavase, because it's not only Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar also holds, the Tana v'chene Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar osa bedvash, and it sounds like, again, they come to some type of compromise. Rabbi Shimon will say, Rabbi Rava will say, okay, I agree that by fish brine, even Rabbi Shimon says it's okay. Everyone will agree, sorry, to fish brine. Everybody agrees to Rava that by fish brine it's okay. And it seems like Rava at the end of the day comes and agrees that by honey, it's going to be a problem and you shouldn't go ahead, especially when it's saying. So it comes out that when anything is really dangerous, we're not going to say that the Torah was chas amamonim shel Yisrael, but in Achanami, even by an Issa D'Oraisa, Rav is saying that the Torah was chas amamonim shel Yisrael, and even though it's an Issa D'Oraisa here, you can say that even though it should have been treif, or you should assume, obviously it has to be an opinion that's not treif, but even though one might have argued that this object is treif, L'maisa Torah was chas amamonim shel Yisrael, and we're going to say that it's not treif.
Was this exposed overnight or just
overnight?
Yeah.
Overnight. Amar of Nachman. Well, I don't know if it's a din in overnight, it's just a din when there's nobody around.
That's what I meant. That's what I
think it's just a din when nobody's around. Amar of Nachman. Now we have another type of fat. It's a fat that's made like a hat. It's not sasam. So just like, again, we said that chaylev, this is not talking about chaylev, this is not talking about shuman, because we already said regular chaylev doesn't go ahead and seal. Shuman can seal. But there's a certain type of shuman, which is like a hat, that can seal. Heicha, where is this? Amri lechite de karkisha. The fat of the rectum. Okay, assuming you wanted to eat it. But l'maisa, let's say you don't eat it, but now we want to know if there's a hole in the rectum which might make a treifa, and it's next to the fat of the rectum, what we're saying is that the fat of the rectum is not going to be enough. It's not going to be considered, even though, again, it sounds like it's shuman and it's going to be kosher. It's not the texture of the fat of the rectum. Even though most shuman does seal, the fat of the rectum does not seal. And again, seemingly the fat of the heart is kosher to eat. It's not considered to be shuman. But nevertheless, even though most shuman does go ahead and close up holes, the texture of the fat of the heart is not such that it could close up a hole, and therefore if there's a hole in the heart, and it's next to the shuman of the heart, even though you could eat the shuman, you can't assume that it closed up the hole. Amar Rav Hashamis minei Rav Nachman Tarti. I learned two things from Rav Nachman. Chimsa bar chimsa. What does that sound like? Tisha B'Av. Kamsa and bar kamsa. Chad sasim v'chad lo sasim. There's two fats in the fourth stomach. One of them can seal a puncture, and one of them cannot seal a puncture. I don't know if it's the kamsa or the bar kamsa, the chimsa or the kimsa, or the bar chimsa. Rav Huna bar Chanina, Rav Huna breder Rav Nachman Amar, bar chimsa sasim, chimsa lo sasim. The bar chimsa fat seals, the chimsa fat does not seal. Amar Rav Tavas v'simanech. How do you want to know? Yafe koach haben mikoach ha'av. The koach of the ben is greater than the koach ha'av. This comes up by Yerusha. We know that if there's a father who has a debt owed to him, he needs to swear in order to collect it. But if he dies and the son wants to collect, he doesn't have to swear. So in certain ways, Yafe koach haben mikoach ha'av. So over here, we're going to use it as a remembrance, as a siman. Yafe koach haben. The ben chimsa, fat, is going to be able to puncture up holes. More than the av, the chimsa is not going to be able to seal holes. Hey chimsa v'hei bar chimsa. Well, which fats in the fourth stomach are chimsa and which are not bar chimsa? And it doesn't necessarily mean, again, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hold that the chimsa is chaylev. You can hold that it's shuman, but there are certain types of shuman, even though you can eat them, they can't effectively seal up a hole. Hey chimsa v'hei bar chimsa. Tashma d'amar Rav Nachman inu mechal achli. Rav Nachman said that there's a certain fat in the fourth stomach that the people in Eretz Yisrael eat and the people in Bavel do not. Inu mechal achli. Can it be, he says, that in Eretz Yisrael they actually eat it? Uledidan mistam nami lo sasim, and for us, we don't even seal? He says, even though the people of Bavel don't eat it, surely the people of Eretz Yisrael, again, if they eat it, it must be that it's permissible. And again, we see that bar chimsa, the fat that seals, refers to the fat that is subject to this dispute, and then the Gemara is going to get into a whole discussion from here. Okay, shkach everyone.